food stamps. What else? Anything that comes from social service. The only ones can get are citizens, not persons that is here illegal. Then when you hear somebody talking about that, please take 5 minutes and educate the people, because that's a lie.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you very much. Okay. We've captured pretty much all your comments. It's probably a couple of pages, but this is something for us to follow with, so that we got notes. But also I want to add, as a follow-up to your earlier meetings, share with you what the commission is doing. The Human Rights Commission made a commitment to make sure that we have someone from your community either be in the capacity of on the commission or on the advisory. And so we have Carlos Lacoma. He has submitted an application to be a part of the Human Rights Commission. So hopefully that will happen pretty soon, and we will continue to work with that.
The Major for Disability people should have somebody.
There you go. And also the MLK Commission. So there are a number of boards and commissions that we can definitely use your expertise. I want to also thank the Hispanic community, because we have the sponsored by the MLK Commission, the International Festival of Culture. And I tell you, you really helped make that event successful, so we really thank you for that. And there's events like that and things like this that will help solve a lot of those problems in the community. So, to kind of wrap things up, we talked about a number of things. The need translators, housing for Hispanic, talked about that. Trash collection, having literacy in Spanish, focus on Cross Creek Mobile Home Park and Kingsway. Landlord needs to do better upkeep of their properties. That falls under housing. Concern about diseases also relates to housing. Need to have the Hispanic community needs to have a valid knowledge of the requirements of driving license and the rules and regulations of driving. Transportation. Okay, and then we have state provide guidelines for minimum code inspection. That's another housing issue. And then maintenance and landlords. That's another housing issue. Back to, and this comes out having small community meetings. And that just confirms that those community meetings are very important. And then contact number for your concerns, 972-1180. Again, some more tentative information. Talked about the restrictions dealing with federal funding and trying to get assistance. And then again, housing, property owners should make sure homes are livable and up to code. And that's something that we really work on as a city, because currently there is the city ordinance does not require a pre-inspection. You know, Shelley does a good job working with someone that's called in and complained about housing code, but something we probably need to talk about is the pre-inspection. And something that we haven't covered, racial profiling concerns. Services provided by policy declaration. We need to make sure we get better, getting the information out to the Hispanic community. And what else do we have there?
Think about fireworks and
all the activities that the city puts on during the holidays and stuff like that.
but it could people also hire people to speak Spanish.
There you go. Okay, so more translators, more, all right.
But it's team members, like you have firefighters that can be hired.
Exactly.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Hispanic, but I met people who I found here, they speak well of Spanish.
Okay. Transportation was a concern. Bus service needs to be available. And we have the city's service transit, and that's something that we can definitely help work on to make sure that those services are available in the community. and information is out there also. And then the city can interpret that comes back.
I forgot one actually.
Translate and interpret. Yes, ma'am.
We need the same way that the police goes and do the roadblocks.
Okay.
We need police to go around into this neighborhood. I don't know how many people are aware that the recent guy that got killed in Crossbreed,
Yes.
that if you talk to the families around, they don't feel safe anymore.
Okay.
Then I think some...
So police department needs to work closer with the property owners to make sure that those mobile home parks are safe also.
Well, I don't know if they go around and do the inspection, like we sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know, that's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Make the neighborhood feel safe. That all of a sudden you hear somebody, like you hear bullets going on and off everywhere and you don't know what's going on.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I think we've had a lot of information shared tonight. Have I missed anything or any comments? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Because we hear a lot about community tonight.
Correct.
Okay? And when my son reads the irony, we hear black and brown community. I need to know, are we one community or are we separate?
We're one community.
Very good.
Exactly. Very good comment. Staff, thank you for coming. Citizens, thank you for coming. Good. That concludes this evening. Until our next follow-up meeting with the Hispanic Latino community. Thank you. One more comment.
I just want to thank
Señor
you all
Smith.
for that year for us. That really means a lot. So I thank you all so much. Thank you for coming.
First of all, I want to thank you for taking this time out of your busy schedule to come out and kind of talk with us, have a conversation with us as we have one of our community meetings. We have several meetings throughout the city, many times a year, in our different neighborhoods. Back in the spring, we had a couple of members from the Hispanic community come to my office or call my office and wanted some assistance or wanted to share some concerns that they were having. As a result of that meeting, what happened is that we invited them to a Human Relations Commission meeting. And so we had probably 5 or 6 members from the Hispanic Latino community that come in and met with the Human Relations Commission. And it was a very good conversation, a very open conversation. So as a follow-up to that meeting, we decided that we would try to hold some type of community meeting for the Hispanic community and also reach out and contact individuals within the Hispanic community that would help us. And so those things we worked on. And so to keep on task as to what one of our original requests was, the suggestion was that we have a kind of a general meeting, which is what we have tonight, and we invite other people from other residents from the Hispanic community to come out and continue the conversation. And then from this meeting tonight, what we would do, we kind of set the framework and will help us go in other directions as to what other type of meetings do we need to have. So that's kind of the overview of where we are. And let me back up and tell you who I am. I'm Archie Jones, Human Relations Director for the City of Rocky Mount. On your agenda, Carlos was supposed to be here, but his schedule was not allowed. He was going to help facilitate this meeting tonight and translate. We have had a citizen step up who's going to help us, who is Ms. Rodriguez, and we will introduce her a little bit later. She will help me with the meeting. So at this time, what I would like to do is introduce one of our assistant city managers, Natasha Hampton Clayton. Let her come up and kind of introduce herself and speak to you, and then we will proceed with the introduction for the rest of the staff.
Good evening, everyone. Archie always does a very good job of putting me on the spot. Tonight is no different. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening and thank you for coming out on behalf of City Manager Small Tony. We'd like this forum to be an open discussion about some of the needs and some of the challenges that our Hispanic community faces, and we want to be the face of resolve for that. So thank you again for coming out. Please, let's have a respectful dialogue, and thank you again.
Okay, some of the people we have with us tonight, I introduce my staff. We have Felisa Hunter, Human Relations, Jeffrey Walston, and we have LaWanda Hawkins on the front registration table. We also have members of the Human Relations Commission here tonight. We have Teresa Stokes, we have Nehemiah Smith, we have Steve Stevenson, and we have Ricky Pitts, and in the rear we have Cynthia Cobbs, and we have Camillus Dancy also.
Teresa Austin.
Teresa Austin Stokes. Also, we have with us several members of our staff, and I will give them a couple of minutes to tell about their departments, kind of brief overview. And as we go through this process, any questions that they can will have to respond to, we will refer back to them. So also tonight we have our fire chief, Corey Mercer. We have our Parks and Recreation Director, Elton Daniels. We have our Community Code Supervisor, Kelly Cook. Did I miss anybody? And someone from the police is supposed to be coming. And we also have another staff from Parks and Rec, Georgia, John, who's in the back. So I will, Elton, you want to come first and kind of give an overview of what Parks and Rec has to offer?
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Elton Daniels, and I'm the newly appointed Parks and Rec Director. I've been here in the city for about 9 months. I'm really excited about being here. The city, as you know, we have a lot of programs that we offer. We try to incorporate inclusiveness. We're open to the entire public, and we're always open to new ideas. So me being here tonight is really simple to answer questions and listen. Hopefully, we can come to some resolution. If there's some areas that we need to improve in, we're going to do everything we can to do that. Currently, we have about 50 parks throughout the city that are always open. We also have some programming efforts. I'm not sure all of the details that we have with regard to the Hispanic community specifically because I'm new here. But Joel Dunn, Matt, has been here for over 10 years. So if there's something that I can't answer, I'm going to defer to him.
Good evening. My name is Corey Mercer. I'm the fire chief here at the City of Rocky Mount Fire Department. Been here this time a little bit over 90 days. I spent 24 years here prior to my departure, stayed on about 16 months. And I believe in Rocky Mount and everything that it has to offer. So obviously here I am trying to help make Rocky Mount a center of the world. I am in charge of the Rocky Mount Fire Department. We have 7 stations that are strategically located throughout the city. We are an all-hazard fire department, which means we respond to practically any damage. We're also an all-inclusive fire department, which means that we're made up of everybody that our city is made up of. So everybody is welcome. Everybody is going to get treated the same way, certain level of professionalism. And I would be remiss not to talk about fire prevention week and month. This is fire prevention week. So our motto is that our campaign this year is, you're not a superhero with a cape, practice your fire escape. Also, close before you doze. At nighttime, you go to sleep, make sure you close doors. That's a sure way that you can survive a fire in the middle of the night. And probably the most important thing is make sure you change the barrier in the smoking tank. So we do car seat programs, we do community risk reductions, anything that we can do to try to make our city safe. If I could be of help to anybody, please give us a call. And if you need us in an emergency, you can call 911. Thank you.
Mr. Danzy, I apologize to you, I don't use podiums and microphones.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's fine.
Here,
That's fine.
You're gonna have to chase me.
No, that's fine. I like that.
My name's Kelly Cook, I'm the code supervisor for the city of Rocky Mount, and as such, myself and my staff are responsible for the enforcement of the various nuisance ordinances within the city, nuisance vehicle ordinances, and most importantly, minimum housing code within the city of Rocky Mount. How that applies to the residents of the city of Rocky Mount is to ensure, promote the health, safety, and welfare of our residents by establishing a minimum standard for habitability in our minimum housing code throughout our inspection process. Bottom line is we just want to make sure that where people live is safe and habitable. That's a brief overview. Got some very strong opinions on what we're about to discuss tonight. Got some strong ideas because I'm acutely aware of the simple fact that we don't have any interaction with the Hispanic community when it comes to the minimum housing code. Thank you all, I'm here to speak and look forward to your questions.
One thing that I failed to mention earlier is I talked about us being inclusive, but I want to make sure that we include the kids as well. So Parks and Rec, out of all the departments we have, I think we have the most fun. So before you leave tonight, be sure to pick up toys in the back. We have some footballs, we have some yo-yos, and depending on how many left, feel free to take one or two. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate that. Now with the overview and introductions, let's get to the fun part of it. This is the part where you're going to interact and we're going to have a couple of conversations. On the yellow sheet that you have, it kind of gives an outline of how we got to where we are. So now we kind of briefly go over there. It's in Spanish on one side and English on the other side. But before I start that, in case we need someone to interpret or translate something, Ms. Rodriguez has agreed to help us out with that. Thank you very much. And then we have a backup, Ms. Anna. She will help us also. And what we normally do in our community meetings, we have a couple of ground rules. If we want to, if we want to add to that, we can. But pretty much they're pretty simple. This is the dialogue. This is not a debate. So no one is wrong and no one is right. This is the sharing of information. This is to help us, the city, make your community a whole lot more welcome. Be respectful of each other. One person speak at a time. And share the time, allow others to speak. So those are just basic ground rules we normally always follow at our meetings. Sometimes they're hard to follow, but most of the time we try to stick to that. Is there anything that you think we should add to that before we get started? Good? Okay. So we will proceed. Again, some background. In the ongoing effort to promote understanding, respect, harmony among all people, the Human Rights Commission and the department, with other city departments like Fire and Parks and Rec, Development Services, is hosting decided to host this conversational meeting with some goals in mind. The goals are to accomplish the following: to allow the residents of the Hispanic and Latino community to share some of their challenges there are families facing our community, to dispel any misinformation concerning police and fire. One thing that we found out in the earlier meeting is that a lot of times there are residents that may be exposed to illegal activity, or unsafe activity, but they are sometimes hesitant to report it. And so we definitely want to help relieve those fears. Third one is to share information regarding the many services and activities that are available to residents. And the last one is to create an environment of trust and encourage greater participation of city programs within the Hispanic Latino community. So that's pretty much how I would go.
And any feedback that you can share with us to help us get to that, we'll definitely appreciate that. To start the process off, we have a couple questions here that if you would like to respond to. This is not the only question, these are not the only questions we ask, but I thought this was a good way to get the conversation started. And those are, start with number one. Do you feel connected to the community? And anyone from the Hispanic community can respond to that question. And if you don't, do you mind sharing and telling us why? And then the other part of that question is, what can the city do to direct that if there's a disconnect there? I want to respond to that. Adam?
I'm sorry, I do need the microphone. My voice is very soft. My name is Aida Solorzano. I work with Nash Community College. I have worked several years here, previously with the City of Rocky Mount, and now with the college. And I've been there for a long time, and I'm very connected in many different organizations and nonprofits that the Hispanic community has. If we feel that we are connected to the city, the answer is short, no. Why not? We're not inclusive in anything. If you look around, to start with the city, basic things. If you go to the city to pay the light bill or to get your light connected, and if you don't speak enough English, becomes a tragedy. Because we don't have even that simple resource. And the city makes money with the Hispanics. And we should have the same right. We move along. He just mentioned about the cuttings in the house. We have several houses. They are rented to people. They are not prepared for a person to live there. It's that simple. Yes, and why do we have to go through that? Why do a lot of the Hispanics have to go through that? Yes, because a lot of them do not have a social. And if you don't have a social, you do not have a decent living, period. It's that simple. We're going to move along. We're talking about parks and recs. Great activity. How many of the scholarships, how many people are connected and know that the city has the scholarship for kids to play? I would like to find out how many Hispanic people were awarded this year, per se. We're going to move along with the service that we find. It's very distressing. Just put yourself in another country where you do not speak the language. When a person suffers any kind of stress that is very high, you're in an accident, most likely your mind is going to jump immediately to your primary language. And if you don't have personnel that is prepared to understand at least the basic things, do you have any allergies? You cannot even understand sometimes that. And yes, maybe it's not the city, the fault, but we live here. We're part of this city. I have been living in Rocky Mount for probably last 10 years. And it's very hard. I came from Pennsylvania. And when I came first to North Carolina to Rocky Mount, I felt like an outsider. We used to have a festival. The city used to sponsor a festival for the Hispanic Week. That is no longer. It's been many years since Ian Kidd left. We don't have nothing. We are not represented, well represented in the Human Relations Commission. We are not represented in the Mayors for Disability. Then how can we be inclusive when the people that know what are the needs of the community, they are not counted as part of those committees? We have a committee called the Latino Rich Committee. How many of you heard about that? And that's something that we do through Downey's Partnership for Children. With all the different resources that we have, we get together. We meet 3 times a year. It's not enough. But that's what we do. And we share the concerns that we have, we share the good things that we have, and we keep moving. In the school system, we have something that we have to put together called the ELL pack. And that's for any parent that has a child that first language is not English. But we have to do it. It was not provided to us. Then if you ask me again, are we connected? No, we're not.
Thanks for sharing that. So we have our commission member Teresa is going to capture some of the notes. And just to kind of repeat, those items whatever areas that you talked about was utilities, having someone there that can really translate and provide same level of service to our Hispanic community. You also mentioned housing, and that's something that we know is a challenge. Our office, the Human Relations Office, we do handle a number of housing situations, but we know there are a lot of them that we do not have because we're on the world. So we definitely need to do a better job of getting that information out. And we've also talked about, which came out of an earlier meeting, is to make sure that we have all that information translated into Spanish also. Yes.
And I forgot something that is really basic. Some of you take it for granted. Just the trash. Pick up the trash though. If you go and look, and I know that's something we have discussed previously, and you said that's out of city hands, but I think the city can enforce that.
Okay.
Why the mobile home parks where the majority of Hispanics live, it looks like a trash place. I understand the city might not have the resources or might not intervene because of private properties, but the city could put some ordinances, something to say. If you want to rent, just make it livable. Come on, you go to some places that it's very nasty to go, and that's the truth. Just take a minute, and I see some people trying to do the best. How many of you have been Cross Creek? Cross Creek? You know where Cross Creek is? Few of you know where Cross Creek is. Just go about the places where you see the trash is being dumped. There's some places there near the houses, and it's serious. If you go to Kingsway, just go one day. The people that don't agree with what I'm saying, just go one day and take a look at the houses and take a look at the trash in there. If the city doesn't implement some type of, I don't know, ordinance, sanctions or whatever to the owners, we're going to keep having these people living really bad. Yes, I'm grateful. I have a better job. I can select a better place to stay. I'm being blessed because I have things that other people in the Hispanic community do not have. That does not mean that I'm not having a heart on those that have to live in different situations. Because there is nothing else to select.
Thank you very much. Any follow-up to that? And I will, one follow-up is that you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Three of the locations that you mentioned are mobile home parks, which is on private property. And yeah, we have to do a better job of trying to figure out how we can address that because the city does not have the same leverage with mobile home parks as they would do with a single home, the resident.
And you have to keep in mind that some of the people that live on those places pay a ballpark between $400 to $600 per month.
Yeah, they pay $250 for just the land.
Well, okay.
Just 200, it's between $200 and $250 per land. And those places are just, I mean,
It's unhealthy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unhealthy. And I mean, if you think about it, since the kids are part of the community, they go to school with the other kids. So if those kids get a disease, the other kids will have the disease. So
Correct.
we are talking about something big. It's not just because they're community, but
We can't hear.
Sorry.
I will try to speak the best that we can. I'm not fluent like Ida, but I will try. I'm saying that if the kids live in those places where the trash is all over the place and they get a disease and they go to the school with other kids, the other kids will get a disease too. So we're talking about something big. It's not just for the community of the Latino people. It's for everybody because we share a spot, we share a place. So if they get a disease on that dirty spot, the other kids will get a disease too. It's just like the flu. It's something big. These people pay like $250 for just the land, plus utilities, water, the power, and sometimes it's like $400 for the house to live. And those houses are in not good condition. And something, if I can say something else, I think we have. I mean, I've been living here since 1999. We survived Floyd. We lost everything back then. And if I want to be honest, back then, when I was here for the first time, I felt more welcome, maybe for the situation, than I feel now. Because back then, I feel like people was friendly with us, even though I don't speak a word on your language. They tried to help us. They went to take us out of the place where my house was flooded, and they took us out of there with a friendly hand. I mean, I feel like warm. And now, I feel like, I mean, like last time I was talking about that, we are part of the community, but we don't feel part of it. We feel like we are just, I mean, this is the line for the people that is from here, and this is the line for that community of the Latino people. And I don't think it's fair because the same, as we work hard, my husband has been working 26 years in the farming here, and I bet many of us be getting what they harvest. And they work hard. That people work sun to sun every single day. They don't have vacation, they don't have holidays. My husband works on his birthday. My husband is always working, and the people who work there, they're always working. And when they go to the store, people look at them like they're not working. And that breaks my heart, because that people is doing something that many people from here, that been living here the whole life, even the new generation of the maybe Hispanic people too, because they grow here and they have another mentality, they have another thing that the people that came from other countries can do. Like that generation that came from Mexico, from other countries to work on the land, I think they deserve a little more. The families, because they move from one place to other, to have education, to have a house, and they struggle every time. They struggle. I mean, since I started like going to school with Ida, starting, and then we started going to LPAC and different nonprofit organizations. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Ida. I've been learning a lot of things that break my heart, and I feel the responsibility of being on these places to make the voice being heard from the people that can't talk. And I feel like they can have, I don't know if we talked about that last time, but many of these people that came from other countries, they're not informed about like the rules when they drive. They don't know the rules, because many of the people don't know how to drive with those rules y'all have here. So when they drive, it's not like they don't drive right. It's that they don't know how to drive, and they don't know how to put a chair, like a car seat for the kids. So if y'all have those kind of things in Spanish, They will learn how to do all those little things that make a big difference. That's what I think.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You touched on a couple of things, so let's go back. Kelly, you want to comment on that? How the difficulty was?
When we addressed the issues, and you mentioned Cross Creek and you mentioned Kings Way, and I was in Cross Creek just last week, as a matter of fact. One of the things that, I'm sorry? Okay. I'm sorry. One of the things you have to keep in mind with the enforcement of the city ordinances is we simply cannot go onto private property and look for issues. There has to be a nuisance there that we can obviously see from a public right of way. We cannot go onto private property. We cannot issue nuisance notices or issue legal notices on these properties without having the right of entry to do so. Now, that's either obtained through an administrative warrant at the magistrate's office, or it's something that's called into us as a complaint. And I mentioned earlier that one of the reasons that I know we don't have a connection with the Hispanic community is because quite literally my office receives absolutely no phone calls from the residents in the Hispanic community. We know there are issues out there. We see them every day. We're in homes every day. So we see these issues. We know that they're out there, but we just can't start knocking on doors and asking to go in people's homes and do habitability inspections on their living conditions. We need to know about them because then we can address them.
Can you do like a spot check and just hit them here and there? You're not allowed to do that either?
No, absolutely not. Not when it comes to a minimum housing code inspection. There has to be a reasonable cause, and that reasonable cause, 9 times out of 10, comes from the tenant.
Then what you're
And
saying is
I
that
understand.
we have to train the tenant to come and complain about it. But it's hard, you see, that's where this becomes tricky. Because if that's the only place where they can live, because they don't find, it becomes the normal thing. I can assure you, there are several mobile home places in Cross Creek. Right now, the winter is coming. The winter is coming, and I know there's several mobile homes there that don't even have heat. Then my understanding was that heater, or the heater, providing the heater, is something that is required from a tenant.
Absolutely.
Then those kind of things, it's hard to train people across. And you have to understand, when you go knock every single door, and every door that you knock, you didn't go, no, you cannot rent here, no, you cannot rent here. You're gonna leave like the car garages, because that's what you have. But I think maybe, I don't know if it's possible, and I'm talking without knowing, I don't have the knowledge of that, but maybe if this is an issue that we're seeing throughout the mobile home places, can the city create an ordinance, or can the city say, okay, starting on 2020, it will be mandated that you can do spot checks on private property? I don't know, and I don't know if that's possible. Maybe I'm talking about something that is not possible, because I do not know that. But I think it has to be something that protects the citizens.
Quite simply, it's state statute driven. It's not a local ordinance that we, within the city, have any control over. Essentially, there's a general statute within the state of North Carolina that provides minimum guidelines for housing code inspections. And you're absolutely correct. We know for a fact, and it's not only in the mobile home parks, it's in every neighborhood in this city, that there are people living in residences without utilities, without heat, without proper plumbing, without a lot of things that are within that minimum housing code that we can enforce. We're also well aware of the fact that by making that phone call to us and initiating that process by which we go into a property and do a minimum housing code inspection, and we're in essence putting that property owner on notice to make these repairs, to make this place habitable, we're in effect jeopardizing the habitability or the place of living for that individual. However, there are laws that protect tenants against retaliatory eviction, if you will. And that's where we have to work with Archie and his folks in human relations and make that connection happen. Because the reality is, when we have minimum housing code violations, at that point, those violations that we note during our inspection, it becomes us and the owner at that point. We'll realize we're there working for the tenant. We're there to make sure whoever lives in that property, whether it's this tenant, the next tenant, or any tenant down the road, to make sure that that structure, regardless of who lives in it, is habitable for those people.
Then we have a hard work ahead of us because we are going to have to train the people.
Exactly. So, as a follow-up to that, I believe in taking, there's a lot of things that we probably need to do, policy change and ordinance and stuff like that, and those things take time. But I believe in taking what we do have and what we can use right now. So, one thing that I think we do a pretty good job of, I mentioned it earlier, is that what would probably help, and you all could help us with this, is that if we would, as a part of educating or informing those residents who live in those areas with those minimum housing issues, we could probably hold more of a small community type meeting for those locations and just inform them of what they can and they can't do. And a lot of times when we work with the owners, it's not about, we try to take the approach of not making them do something, but we take the approach of that this is a better situation for the owner and the tenants also. So hopefully by using that approach, we can help address some of those concerns. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a phone number that the tenant can call to express their need to you?
Yes, ma'am. The question was, is there a phone number? Human Relations phone number is 972-1180. Any question regarding the housing issue or any other issue with residents, you can start in the Human Relations office. And if we don't have the answer, we will get you to the city staff as well. We have addressed that. As Kelly mentioned earlier, we work very closely with this division in my department because what we know if it's not handled correctly, the negative side is sometimes tenants are faced with having to move or facing homeless, and that's not what we want.
There's an established standard by state statute when the repairs are such that it might require the eviction of a tenant in order to effect those repairs. We also work with Archie and his folks because we've got the ability to try to locate another place to live before it gets to that point. Okay? And I will be honest with you, I will meet with any group, anytime, any neighborhood, any place, and be more than happy to sit down because I talk to people every day and I know that the basic knowledge of what the ordinances are, the basic information that we have, the processes that we have to go through, the legal rights that everybody that's a resident of the city has, aren't well known out there. And I spend a lot of time explaining how the minimum housing code works, explaining how the ordinances are applied, explaining the enforcement of those things. Because it is a legal process. We just don't show up and start issuing notices and things of that nature. So at any time, I'd be more than happy to sit and discuss.
Thanks, Chairman. Hopefully we can make some ground on that. I have a question here and then I come back. Yes, ma'am.
I was just saying that, like you said, I think this is a problem that happens not just in this Hispanic community. So if we do have classes on that type of information, we should have it there, we should have it other places too. Something that we can all, something we can all learn from.
I do. I get invited to neighborhood meetings all over the city, probably 2 or 3, 4, 5 times a year. But if the neighborhood wants me to come out and talk to them, feel free. Even if it's a few few people on the street or on a block or within a mobile home park or wherever the case may be, you give me a time and a date, I'll be there.
Steve?
One thing that I think has been alluded to here is in some of the homes that are not meeting that code, if you make that complaint, they come out and inspect and find that it's in such bad shape that it's constructive eviction. It's essentially condemning the structure because it's not safe. They can't stay there anymore. One of the 800-pound elephants in the room that we're not talking about is the legality of their residents being here. And one thing that I think we also need to take into consideration is the person they're paying that rent to, particularly in the mobile homes and the small homes out in the countryside. They're not organized property renters, they're individuals who in all likelihood in some of those trailers can't afford to fix those trailers. And what I would recommend, and what I believe through the Human Relations Commission and other nonprofits, is before, if someone has a home where they can live and it needs some work, the Hispanic community, in concert with other nonprofits in this area, can help to bring that home up to a minimum housing code, because the owner may not be able to. Granted, the owner is going to be the one that, if they leave, he's going to be the one that benefits from it. But as long as they're there, they're benefiting from the repairs that they may have to do to that property in order to stay there.
All right, thanks for sharing that. Also, another, yes, Adam.
Unfortunately, the majority of programs that exist, that some of the Latino residents could apply for, due to the fact of the situation of having the correct papers to be in the United States, or the lack of those papers, make them not qualify for that. Any federal funding prohibits you to give any help to anybody who does not have a proper social security. And that's what it is.
And I realize what I'm trying to recommend is you're going to run against that with law enforcement, with legal aid, with housing, with every issue that comes along if the individual does not have that proper documentation. What I am recommending is that the Hispanic community can ask and receive help from other nonprofit, non-government organizations who are ready, willing, and able. I've seen my sister's house as one with domestic violence that has truly reached out into the Hispanic community and has been tremendously helpful in issues of domestic violence in that community. There are other groups out there that can help, but unfortunately, government agencies, government funding, they have to be blocked from providing assistance to individuals who are not properly documented. There's other ways around it. You've got to figure out a way to work around it.
Well, what I'm saying is, I understand that we have to go around, but you just named something, like my sister's house, and I have worked with them previously. Even for my sister's house, when we have a victim of domestic violence, in order for that victim to be able to live in a house, to assist them for a short time, if they don't have those proper documentation, they're not able to get it. Then it doesn't matter which way you see it, unless we have other community organizations that were willing to work with them. I'm not saying free. A lot of people think that we came to this country to ask for everything for free, and that's not true either. But we're asking to be able to work it out. It has to be some system, something to work it out.
And to kind of summarize that, what both of you are saying is that seek those other resources in the community that will be able to help other than those that receive federal funds.
Oh, I was just saying, I would hope that we, instead of putting the burden on the Hispanic community to work to help a property owner to get its stuff up to speed, that we would hold, the code enforcement will hold them responsible before they are allowed to let somebody into a home that is not up to code. You know, I don't think that burden should be on the community. That burden should be on the property owner. If it's my house, then I have a responsibility to make sure that house is livable. That's not their responsibility. That's my responsibility. And I just think that that's unfair to even suggest that.
And I would tell you, of course it's not fair, but we've got an individual who can't afford $3,000 worth of repairs, and it costs $1,200 to have that trailer removed, where it's no longer a condemned issue. The individual that was living in that house no longer will have a house. Because that person can only afford $1,500 to have that trailer towed out. That's the option they'll probably take. We're not talking about millionaire slumlords or people that are renting multiple homes. These are individuals who have their mobile homes, they probably live in, left there, and the mobile home management is collecting rent for a percentage. But if it comes to fixing it, in my experience, they can't.
All right, so what, very good point. So we start with small things. We're gonna try to address those things and get the citizens, make them more informed, and we'll make sure that they know where to go with the contact for assistance. That's where we started. Okay.
That's one issue.
Okay. And then I'm gonna move to Parks and Rec after we finish this one. Okay.
Give me one.
Okay.
Give me one. Okay. Say, oh my God, she's speaking again. How many of you experience frequent driver license check around the neighborhood? I noticed in Rocky Mount, those difficult places to live are the ones that get the majority of the police spotting. And I can tell you this, it has been many times that the people in Cross Creek on a weekend, they have to really pay attention if they can get out or not. There are specific hours, there are specific days they do that. I would like to see that in other neighborhoods, because they won't happen. Unfortunately, minorities, call it Hispanic, call it African Americans, those difficult neighborhoods are targeted by the police. And they cannot tell me no, because I've seen it over and over and over. How come a person that hardly makes $250 per week get in 1 week 3 consecutive tickets? How are you supposed to live? And I understand. Unfortunately, we don't live in California where you're allowed to get a driver's license, and we get away with a lot of different issues that we have to, like not being able to have, you don't have the proper documentation, you cannot buy an insurance. You are not allowed to take the driving test. But I don't think it should be singled out that those neighborhoods should be the ones, Cross Creek, what is the one there?
Cheeseway.
Before Cheeseway, Rookback. And we know where they are. That's the funny thing. We know where they are. We know that this weekend it's gonna happen. We know it's gonna be lunchtime, it's gonna happen. We know it's gonna be dinner time, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna make a smart comment, and I'm sorry, but I really believe that when the lawyers draw law in clients, they know where to go.
Thanks for sharing that. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone from the police department who can respond to
It should
that.
be somebody from the police. I will have a lot of questions for that person.
Gotcha, okay. We also had one of our councilmen come in, Councilman Knight. You wanted to make a comment?
I want to make a comment. Young lady, what are you saying tonight is no different than what African Americans are
That's what we're saying.
America. And for returning to say we're dealing with community code, whether you legal or not, I think that's a form of intimidation. But the NAACP is currently forming a branch in Nash County because of the death of a young man that was killed. So what you need to do is find organizations that can help you, whether it's becoming legal or citizen here right now and know your rights, because certain settings you're not going to get the information that you're looking for. So you need to know who your allies are so you can better protect yourself and your community. Because airing it out in a place where you don't have anyone that can really help you with what you're discussing.
But this is the situation. We don't know who those allies can be. That's why we're here, trying to claim help, because we don't.
After the meeting, you need to get with me.
I will.
And the NAACP has been around since 1909. It's a civil rights organization. And they're currently organizing in the Nash County area. And that's where you need to assemble yourself with people like you with the same issues like you that can help you figure out the pitfalls, because we face the same thing with racial profiling.
That's what,
But coming to some of these meetings, explaining some of the things that you don't do,
when you get a ticket, just next time, if you get one, I hope you don't get one because it's very expensive. When you get a ticket, look into the little piece that it says, when they stop you, there are only two things they can, that the police can mark. They can say, you either white or you African American. Guess where all the Hispanics go? White, exactly. That's why that they pull the reports. We don't show up. There is not a Hispanic column. When immigrant or something, there is none. Then when we get the reports from the police, it's nothing. We're not being singled out. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things that I have learned through my years.
Thank you. You're really informative. And we want to remind you that we are taking, we captured everything on the comments, so we have a big note taken here, so thank you, Ms. Stubbs.
My wife said, is Hispanic a race?
Is Hispanic or race? Hispanic, Latino? Okay.
Their answer was white. White. So I understand that it, and I understand black.
So I guess what the question is, the reports need to identify the ethnicity of the person.
Even if it says other, I don't care.
Okay.
You can see the other numbers. You can see those numbers.
All right, so another issue that came up earlier, let me go back to this and let me go through that. Another issue that came up earlier was about summer camp, students not having access to possible scholarship programs and other things you're possibly. And so, and I'll can talk a little on that, and then help and George can follow. Yes, the city do provide scholarships for parents with a certain income level, and they are handled through human relations. We handle those approval applications directly. So again, 972-1180 number is a number, and we will make a note to make sure when the process starts again with summer camp, we'll make sure that we reach out to you all and make sure that information is in Spanish also. Because again, there's some services out there that was probably we were provided and you all weren't really included. So thank you for that. Dalton, anything?
Yeah, and I would add to that, whenever we have scholarships available, if there are some community leaders or some community places that you think would be a good place to us to provide outreach, I will personally drop off the information to you all and have it available in Spanish as well. So we don't really keep track of the race or ethnicity of what we give scholarships to because that's handled through another department. We just make sure that we provide them open to all.
No,
But If there's specific neighborhoods, specific areas, I'll be more than willing to put up flyers and hand out information. And we have these pamphlets in the back tonight that you can pick up on your way out. It has all of our numbers and information on the programs that we offer as well.
No, in my comment came, I need information because I used to work at the city, but unfortunately it stays there. It doesn't reach out to the whole community.
That's why I was just asking about if there are specific locations that I myself or members of my staff can go to, we will hand deliver them and make sure.
The best resource for you is people like us, people like the people in the Latino Rich Committee. If you connect with them and share those resources, or you want to share it with us and we share it with them, it's a good way to do it. Because we have people all over the county in different organizations. They would know that information and they reach other families that per se I do not reach. Then that's what we need. Start passing the information, start connecting the dots because we feel disconnected.
Well, for starters, I want to give you my card, so I'll connect this dot and then move forward.
And I'm sorry I didn't bring mine.
No problem. You can send me an email.
I will.
And that way, moving forward, we'll have your information and I can reach out to you first and then you can send me in other places.
I will.
Ms. Abigail, you have a question?
I have a comment.
Okay.
That's your mic.
Okay then.
Will you try to call it? I can go.
Okay, I'm going to present use in English. My name is Annabelle Gonzalez. I live for the last 13 years here. I'm Annabelle Gonzalez. I live for my last 13 years here. I have 3 kids, like him, like her, and a young lady. And we have too many challenges too every day with our kids because we need to put the kids off school too. We need to put our kids on activities too. And a big problem probably is the language because we don't speak too much English. But we have some resources. Okay, nosotros sabemos de algunos recursos que nos ayudan.
She said they have a lot of resources that are being helped them.
Pero aún seguimos teniendo una dificultad emocional.
But they still having emotional difficulties.
Porque ellos como padres.
Because you guys as parents.
Queremos también tener una tarde y salir con nuestros hijos.
Oh, she means them as parents. They have to have an afternoon with their kids and go out.
Pero nos espanta pensar que un policía nos va a parar y nos va a arreglar.
Okay, but they're afraid if there's going to be a checkpoint and they're going to take them from the car.
Y probablemente no solo es una emoción nuestra como padres.
Maybe it's not just emotional part as them as parents.
Porque nosotros lo transmitimos a nuestros hijos.
But they transmit that for the kids.
Y ellos se sienten espantados.
And they feel scared too.
Y si alguien aquí
if somebody here
tiene una voz mayor,
they have a voice, a high voice, a higher voice,
para darnos una licencia de manejar,
to give us a driver license,
y sentirnos más seguros,
and feel more safe,
para llevar a nuestros hijos a la escuela,
take the kids to school,
al doctor,
o
simplemente una diversión familiar,
or simply a family diversion.
Porque estamos aquí,
because we are here,
y consumimos aquí,
and we spend our money here,
y pagamos nuestras taxas
and
aquí.
we pay taxes.
Nosotros tenemos un número,
we have a number,
que es ET number,
it's an ET number, it's a tax ID number.
Y nosotros pagamos nuestras taxas también,
and we pay our taxes
de nuestras casas,
of our houses,
de nuestros carros,
or cars,
de todo lo que consumimos.
and everything or we got daily.
Y probablemente no tenemos los muchos beneficios que pudiésemos tener.
We probably don't have too much benefits that we could.
Sabemos que esto cambiará cuando nuestros hijos crezcan.
It might change when our kids grow up.
Pero tal vez tenemos que esperar muchos años más con un dolor emocional.
But we have to wait long years with emotional pain.
Y probablemente yo en lo particular saldré algún día.
And probably I will go out one day.
Pero nuevas generaciones vienen.
But new generations are coming.
Y si Mi hija tiene 19 años actualmente.
My daughter has 19 years now.
Ella votó la vez pasada.
She voted last time.
Ella está lista para votar ahora.
She's ready to vote today.
Y ella está buscando
She's looking
a alguien que pueda ayudar a su comunidad.
somebody that can help her community.
Y pues, alguien de ustedes nos puede ayudar
If somebody can help us
a sentirnos más seguros,
to feel safely,
especialmente por nuestros hijos,
especially for our kids,
porque somos humanos
because we are human beings.
y tenemos la misma emoción que usted.
We have the same emotion as you guys.
Usted siente dolor,
You feel pain,
usted siente felicidad,
you feel happiness,
usted siente miedo,
you have fears.
nosotros también.
We do too.
Por favor, ayúdenos.
Please help. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. As you see, we have a lot of challenges, and this is just one of the steps that we can, as I say, if you don't know what the problems are, you can address it. So this is a reminder that there are some challenges. When you mentioned about your taxpayers and you pay your taxes and you work and you pay your rent and stuff like that, I had some numbers that I brought with me as far as the population in this area. And this was as of 2018. As of July 1, 2018, the Hispanic population in Rocky Mountain was 3.9%. 3.9, so it's a little bit over 2,000 residents in Rocky Mountain. And then for Edgecombe County, it's 4.8%. And then for Nash County, it's even greater, 7.1%. So the population is growing. Then for our state, the state of North Carolina, the population is 9.6, just about 10%. So you're exactly right, the Hispanic, the Latino population is definitely growing.
Annabelle said it right in a couple of things. One is, I think if you are a politician, you should pay attention to the Latino community. We start seeing more generations that are going to be able to vote, that were born in here. Then they should take care of the community. That's the truth. The second thing is, I'm going to talk about a little bit about today. Today, part of my job was to go into each high school and talk about careers with the students. How come we help the students that live in the Bay Area? We have students that wanted to come to college, but there's not buses. They cannot ride. They're not allowed, some of them, mom and dad are not allowed to get out, to buy a car. They have to do it through a friend, and I can tell you many stories of that, how they get in. One of the ladies, a guy bought a $25,000 car and had to use somebody else. Guess what? The car is no longer in the plow, and he cannot be claimed. And that's the kind of situation that we do, but the city needs to pay attention of the bus system that is used and how it's serving the other side of the community. The southwest
side of the city.
Because we have students that want to come and continue studying, and they were born here, and they're citizens, but there's no way to come over here.
Okay.
And if that comes, someone comes, they're stretching out, having a $3.50 ticket.
That's what we don't want.
Exactly.
Okay. I had three questions down here, and I think we pretty much covered that. And we have a number of things on the board here that Teresa's taken as far as notes. And so, if there are no other questions, I think the next thing in order would be we always like to lead with a game plan. What would be our next steps? So as we heard before, there are a number of concerns that have been addressed. Some of those are large things to tackle. It may take some time, but we can, as the saying goes, you want to try those low-hanging fruits. And so as a follow-up to those, we had mentioned it's related to getting information out to the community, having meetings in those areas that there's a high population of Hispanic and Latinos, and I think we know what those communities are. And if we miss one or two, we can definitely get some feedback on that. And we have Juan Perez here, who's a good citizen and always willing to give feedback and always willing to reach out and help. And as a part of that, that will help tackle a couple of things as far as the housing. A lot of things we may not be able to handle up front, but we can address those, in the housing, those situations that are addressable. As Kelly said, some things may be well out of the realm and may cause other repercussions, but the majority of them, I think we can definitely address.
The city can hire an interpreter.
That should do that. There you go. And it goes over to say, as I said before, all of our information needs to be in Spanish. It has to be translated. I had a conversation earlier today. We talked about it. That's something that we really need to do. Because I'll be frank with you. I struggled today making sure we had that stuff translated. Yes, this.
I just want to add that Annabelle pointed that she paid taxes. And I know it's a very, how do you say when you think something is not right? A misunderstanding? Yeah, some people think we don't pay taxes. I got here in 1999. I've been paying taxes since year one. So we pay taxes. And some of the people I know pay taxes because I know I'm out of town. So I pay taxes just for the country, for the state. And some people pay taxes for the city and then for the state. So I know many people that pay taxes. And most of the Hispanic community pay taxes. So it's not like we don't pay taxes because I heard a lot of people say they live from my taxes. We don't live from your taxes. We pay taxes too. And maybe a little bit more than you guys, because they charge us for the felony of being here illegal. So that charges a little bit more. So we pay extra all the time. So when we do taxes and somebody put the tax ID number on that taxes instead of the social, it's an extra fee because you're living here illegal. So we pay more taxes than people that live here with a social. I just want to point that. No more. No more like that.
We have time for another. Okay.
What Ms. Rodriguez and Annabelle are saying is, I really believe there are funny things in this world, and for me, the ITM number is one of those. It has been a battle to be able to get a permit that allows the Hispanic community or the immigrant community to drive safely for you and for us. But the government was able to figure out that cannot be done. That yes, we don't give that, but we should get your taxes. And it's a lie and it's a myth that the Hispanic community do not pay taxes. The government came with this smart idea that those people that do not have a social security can apply for what is called the ITM number. The ITM number is what is used to pay for taxes. The other thing that is a myth is that we live out of the social services. If you are illegal in this country, you cannot receive federal help, including Medicare, Medicaid,